The unexpected situation. The sky on a morning in May 2025 looked just like any other day. It was clear with soft clouds floating gently above Surabaya. I had just recovered from the exhaustion of attending the Hercules ceremony yesterday, where I stood for nearly an hour under the sun, my back stiff and my stomach roaring from the rushed morning I had to endure. That day had been long and filled with unexpected turns. But little did I know this Wednesday would offer its own version of surprises. I woke up feeling unusually calm, no rushing, no extra alarms set off frantically, one after another like dominoes. Just the usual morning routine. I brushed my teeth while scrolling through my phone, checked my internship group chat, and surprisingly found no new messages. That was strange, considering that most morning the chat would be flooded with questions about attendance, shift duties, or office rules. Shrugging it off, I dressed up, packed my bag, and the set off to first office at Menur Pumbungan. I reached the office just before 9 a.m., a little earlier than usual, before traffic was surprisingly smooth. The front lobby was quieter than normal. I didn't see familiar faces, not even the usual security guard who would greet me with a casual note. The doors were open. Though, so I assumed everything was okay. I walked in and headed straight to the attendance book. That's when I realized something was off. The attendance sheet had only two signatures above mine. I blinked and checked the date again. Yes, it was the correct sheet for today. Where is everyone? I mumbled. I pulled out my phone and finally noticed one unread message from Pak Dodi, one of the senior staff member. It was sent just 15 minutes ago, saying, "To all internship participants, please gather and at the second office in Jagir for today's special briefing. Don't forget to wear your formal attire." My heart dropped. Special briefing? Formal attire? I looked down at what I was wearing, a comfortable casual polo shirt and black pants. No blazer, no formal shoes. My thoughts scrambled. How could I have missed this? Why was there no prior message about this yesterday? Or did I skip it? I instantly felt the sweat forming around my neck. I couldn't go back home and change my place was too far. My only chance was to go straight to the Jagger office and hope that I wouldn't be the only one undressed. The ride felt like a movie scene. Every traffic light seemed to turn red just as we approached it. My head raced. I tried to imagine the worst case scenarios, being scolded in front of other interns, or worse, being sent home. I sent a quick message in our internship group chat. Guys, is anyone else not wearing formal attire today? Just got the message from Pak Castoyo. Heading to Jagger now. Within seconds, Lala replied, "I didn't bring my blazer either. I thought we were working at Manor today." I sighed in relief. At least I wasn't alone. When I finally reached the Jagger office, it was 9:30 a.m. I entered the main hall where the briefing was supposed to held, and to my surprise, the atmosphere was casual. Most of the internship participants were already seated, and while many of them did wear formal clothing, a few, including Lala and surprisingly even one of the senior staff, wore outfits just as casual as mine. I found a seat beside Lala and whispered, "Guess we are not in trouble after all." She chuckled. "Yeah, turns out the message was sent last night, but right before midnight, some of us didn't even notice." The briefing began shortly after I was in about rules or scoldings as I had feared. Instead, they introduced a new digital archiving system and announced that we would be rotated to different divisions for our final month. I would be moved to the historical archives section, which sounded both exciting and intimidating. This is actually not bad, I whispered to myself, feeling more at ease. The stress I had felt earlier slowly melted away. The meeting ended with snacks served at the back table, including my favorite kue lapis and warm tea. I stood with my paper cup, enjoying the calm after the storm. I sipped my tea, but Budi, one of the friendlier staff members, came over and started chatting. He asked how I felt about the new assignment. I told him I was nervous but curious. That's good, he said, smiling. The best way to grow is to step into the unknown. After a brief lunch with a few of the interns, I walked to the nearby library corner to explore some of the resources in the historical archives section. I figured I might as well get a head start. The air conditioning was cool, and the room had that old book smell like somehow suited my nerves. I sat by the window, flipping through old colonial records and newspaper clippings. Time passed quickly, and by 3 p.m., I realized I had a class to attend later that evening. Young adult literature. Again, unlike last time, I thought I felt a little more at peace. No chaos, no panic, just a strange morning that turned into good afternoon. When I got to campus, I was early. I sat under the usual tree in the courtyard and started rereading the chapter from The Perks of Being a Wallflower, our required reading. As students trickled into the building, I spotted Daniel and Tito, two of my classmates, and we ended up chatting until class began. After the class ended, I walked to the usual food stall for my dinner. This time I wasn't alone. Daniel and Tito joined me, and for once, in what felt like weeks, I didn't feel like I was getting lost in solitude again. The day had started with confusion, dread, and panic, but in the end, it reminded me how things can still fall into place when they don't go according to plan. The unexpected situation turned into an unexpectedly good day, and that, I suppose, is life is a nutshell. One cloudy Thursday morning of May 2025, I woke up feeling like oddly peaceful. The night before, I had managed to get full 8 hours of sleep, a rare achievement for someone trying to balance an internship, a heavy course load, and a few freelance jobs on the side. I thought I had fairly predictable day ahead. Work at the government library and archive service of East Java province until 2 p.m. Take a short rest at home and prepare for morning class. But little did I know the universe had something else in store for me. I arrived at the second office on Jalan Jagir just a few minutes before 8 a.m. As usual, the atmosphere was calm, the air carried a faint scent of rain, and I greeted the front desk staff with a smile. After clocking in, I headed straight to the service area where I scheduled to help sort and archive written library materials. It was my comfort zone at this point. I knew what to do, I knew where everything was, and the routine kept my mind focused. About an hour later, I was lifting a stack of file boxes, my phone buzzed in a pocket. I saw a message from our internship WhatsApp group that simply read, "Please come to the first office at Manur immediately. Bring your ID card and wear your internship uniform." The head office needs help for an urgent task. I stood still for a second, confused. This was unusual. Our schedule had been relatively fixed for the past 3 weeks, and no one had ever asked to ask and no one had ever asked us to change offices midday without prior notice. I quickly asked permission from my mentor staff at check-in and hopped on my motorcycle, slightly nervous about what awaited me. By the time I reached the manure office, my uniform was slightly wrinkled from the ride, and my ID card bounced against my chest as I rushed inside. At the receptionist area, I spotted two of my fellow interns, Windy and Aldi, who looked just as confused as I was. We exchanged puzzled glances. A staff member soon approached and explained the situation. Apparently, a last-minute VIP visit was scheduled that day from the East Java Province Educational Department, and they needed extra help to prepare a mini exhibition space on the second floor to display rare books and documents. The problem was that most of the display items were in storage, are organized, and still wrapped. You three will help us clean the display area, show the books and archival documents, and set up the signage and lighting, she said, handing us gloves and ID tags for limited access to the exhibit room. Without hesitation, we began to work. It started with dusting shelves, unwrapping old display boards, and carefully moving historical materials to their designed places. The task was physically exhausting, especially because we had to climb up and down ladders and carry boxes that weren't actually light. Windy, despite her small frame, proved to be incredibly strong. Aldi, with his meticulous nature, took care of aligning the books and labeling them with proper descriptions. I focused on lighting and overall arrangement. We hardly spoke during the first hour because we were racing against time. The VIPs were expected to arrive around 1 p.m. At 11:45 a.m., the air conditioning suddenly stopped working. The maintenance staff were trying to fix the main power line issues, but the exhibit room quickly turned into a sauna. We wiped sweat from our foreheads and kept going, knowing we couldn't afford to waste time. The clock tickled mercilessly. By 12:30 p.m., the exhibit room looked completely transformed. It was neat, informative, and inviting. Even though we were tired, we felt a strange sense of pride. Then, out of nowhere, one of the organizers came running towards us. "One more thing, we forgot the opening speech script." They were in the archive room on the third floor, in a blue folder labeled VIP Protocol 2025. "Can someone please fetch it?" Without, thi- Without thinking twice, I volunteered and dashed up the stairs. The archive room was huge, filled with rows and rows of towering file cabinets. I navigated the space with a flashlight because some of the lights were flickering. I finally spotted the blue folder on the top of one of the cabinets, but to reach it I needed to step on a small plastic stool nearby. As I stretched up to grab it, my phone slipped from my pocket and hit the ground with a thud. When I picked it up, the screen was blank. It had finally given up on me after weeks of glitches. Not today, I muttered. With the folder in hand and my broken phone in my pocket, I returned downstairs to deliver the documents to the event coordinator. She thanked me with a hurried note, then vanished behind the curtain just minutes before the guests arrived. The VIP walked in right on schedule. We interns were asked to quietly exit the room and observe from the hallway. So we did. As we peeked through the half-closed door, we saw our work being admired by high-level officials, who smiled and nodded in approval. The staff who had guided us early came over and handed each other of us box of snacks and bottle of water. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "You guys saved the day." Aldi chuckled. "Saved the day while sweating like crazy. We need laugh too. I feel like I just ran a marathon. Despite everything, the surprise task, the heat, the broken phone, and the physical exhaustion, we all felt fulfilled. It was one of those moments where everything went wrong, but the result made it worth the struggle. We didn't complain. Instead, we celebrated the chaos we had survived together. As I walked out of the many room office later that afternoon, still holding my broken phone and wiping the sweat from my forehead, I realized something. Not all unexpected situations are bad. Sometimes they are just unplanned chapters in our internship story, the kind that teach us resilience, teamwork, and adaptability. I went home feeling strangely energized. Maybe tomorrow would bring another surprise, maybe not. Either way, I felt more prepared now, more grounded, and definitely more aware that anything could happen at any time. That's the beauty of these unexpected situations. They keep you on your toes and teach you lessons you never thought you needed. It was the first week of our internship at the Government Library and Archive Service of East Java Province, and everything still felt new and unpredictable. The internship period had just begun, and we were all still adjusting to the sudden shift from student life to semi-professional responsibilities. I still remember the chaotic morning of my second day there. It was one of the most unexpected situations that left an impression on me, and every time I think about it, I can't help but laugh. That Tuesday, I had woken up with a jolt at 7:10 a.m. My eyes flew open in panic when I realized I had completely ignored all three of my alarms. We were scheduled to arrive by 8 a.m., but it took me nearly an hour to get ready and reach the office. I didn't even get the chance to brush my hair properly or eat breakfast. With a pounding heart and my stomach growling in protest, I rushed to get dressed and left my boarding house on my motorcycle, hoping that traffic wouldn't slow me down. As I rode through the morning air, I still chilly and thick with fog, my mind was racing. What if I arrive late? Would they mark me as absent or irresponsible? On my evaluation sheet, I just keep praying silently, hoping the red lights won't somehow turn green just for me. To my surprise, I arrived at 7:45 a.m. The building was already buzzing with activity. Some staff were heading to their divisions while a few of the other interns, including Lala and Lady from Windsor, waved at me when I walked in. Out of breath, they looked just as nervous as I felt. The three of us were assigned to different sections that week, while I was placed in the digital archives room. Lala and Lily had been helping in the library's public service section. The morning just when I thought I could finally settle into a normal routine, the unexpected happened. One of the archive supervisors, Burina, suddenly asked me to accompany her to the governor's main office to deliver a confidential document. I blinked confused. I've only been here for a day. I thought, why? Why me? But before I could protest, she had already handed me the brown envelope and explained the route. It's urgent. Take my ID card and show it to the receptionist when you arrive. She instructed. Don't worry, you'll be back in about an hour. And she began my very first solo assignment. With no time hesitate, with no time to hesitate, I hopped back to my motorcycle, this time heading toward the provincial government building, clutching the envelope like it was made of gold. On the way, my phone buzzed with messages from the internship group chat. Where are you? Are you sick? You missed the briefing. I chuckled nervously and replied with a simple, on a sudden assignment, will update later. When I arrived at the governor's office, the security was tight. I had to explain my purpose 3 times and go through a metal detector. My heart wa- my heart kept racing. I kept imagining scenarios where I'd be escorted out for accidentally entering the wrong room or handing the document to the wrong person. Thankfully, none of that happened. After 30 nerve-wracking minutes, the test was completely. The receptionist signed the saving form and gave me a visitor's sticker as proof. I walked out with a deep sigh of relief and decided to treat myself to a glass of iced tea from a roadside stall. It was around 10:15 a.m. when I returned to the archive building. The moment I stepped in, all eyes turned toward me. Some staff smiled, others looked surprised. My supervisor simply nodded and said, "Good job, you were fast." As I walked back into the intern room, Lala whispered, "You look like a courier. What happened?" I laughed and told them everything. That entire day was filled with unexpected situations. After my solo event, I had to help scan dozens of physical documents into the digital archive system. The scanner broke twice and we had to wait for IT to fix it. The meantime, we continued writing our daily reports manually while helping a few staff arrange books back into their shelves. One moment I was delivering government documents. The next I was alphabetizing the books about agriculture and fisheries. During lunch, we sat outside in the shaded part of the parking area with our packed meals. Lily, always the cheerful one, joked about how we would add Governor Runner to my resume. I swear if they ask us to deliver lunch to the governor next time, I'm out, she said, making everyone laugh. But amid all the chaos and unpredictability, something amazing was happening. We were bonding. Every unexpected task, every confusion, every broken machine, and every misplaced document somehow turned into a moment we could look back on and laugh about. That day, when I finally returned home at 5:30 p.m., I collapsed on my bed, exhausted but proud. I had survived my first rain, gotten back on time, and even managed to finish the daily report despite the technical issues. As I was reflecting on the day, a new message popped up in our intern group chat. Tomorrow, please be ready at 7:30 a.m. We will have a group meeting and evaluation session with the department head. I sighed, looked at the time, and got up to set 5 alarms. Another day, another unexpected situation waiting to happen. Reflecting on that day now, weeks later, makes me appreciate how those moments help shape not just my internship experience but also my attitude towards facing the unknown. Each misstep, task, and surprise taught me something not just about the office environment but about resilience, adaptation, and the importance of laughter. Because in the end, what made the internship truly meaningful were not just the assignments we completed, but the stories we lived full of unexpected situations that brought out the best in us. That's all for this final video of this week's.